Hello and welcome to Narayana IS. I am Pratik, your faculty for Daily News Analysis. Now students, as part of Daily News Analysis, we shall be discussing 5 most important articles from the Hindu and the Indian Express. So let's have a quick brief of the topics that we shall be discussing for the day. The first article is taken from Indian Express, page number 11. Now in this article, we are going to discuss about the region Middle East or West Asia. Now West Asia is one of the most or probably the most complicated region in the world. So we'll understand the reasons why this region is one of the complicated regions in the world and how India can play a prominent role to restore peace in the Middle East. The second article is taken from Indian Express, page number 1. Now in this article, students, we are going to discuss the immunity granted to the governors under Article 361 and whether the immunities granted to the governors are justified. The third article is taken from Hindu, page number 1. Now there was this Microsoft update recently which caused disruptions across the world. So we'll understand about this update, we'll understand why this sensor called Falcon resulted into the disruptions across the world and about the Computer Emergency Response Team, which is one of the nodal agencies of our country. The fourth article is taken from Hindu, page number 10. Now in this article, we are going to understand about the Uniform Civil Code. Why? Because the Uttarakhand High Court has given protection to a live-in couple under Uniform Civil Code. And the fifth article, we are going to discuss right to education. Now this article appeared in Indian Express, page number 6. Now here, the Bombay High Court has quashed a notification of the Maharashtra government exempting the private schools from reserving 25% of seats to the socially and educationally backward children. So these are the 5 topics that we shall be discussing, and finally we shall be discussing few practice questions so that you understand the type of questions that can be asked in the UPSC examination. So students, let's get started. Students, the title of the first topic is India has to help in restoration of peace in the Middle East. And in this topic, we'll understand the different dimensions of India and the West Asia relationship. This under GS paper 2. So let's go through a previous question asked in the year 2019. How will I2U2, again which is related to Middle East, grouping transform India's position in the global politics, right? And what is the context? The context is that the conflict in West Asian region has intensified. Why? Because of the ongoing war between Israel and the Hamas in the Gaza Strip. And this has led to significant geopolitical and humanitarian concerns. Now, in this topic, we'll understand the complex dynamics of this region and how India will play a role to navigate the challenges in the region. Let's know more about West Asia. Now, West Asia, it connects 3 islands, Asia, Africa and Europe. It connects 3 seas, Mediterranean, Red and Arabian Sea, and it is also a hub for the international trade. Now, this region's strategic waterways, there are 2. One is the Strait of Bosphorus and the Strait of Dardanelles. It enhances the geopolitical importance of this region. Then the discovery of oil in the region has actually increased the importance of the region. As a region, the major powers got attracted or intervened in the geopolitics of this particular region. This is about the West Asia, and you can look at this map. And most importantly, students, when it comes to Middle East or West Asia, you have to be thorough with the maps of this particular region. Why? Because this region is very, very important for our country. And that's the reason UPSC has it, or UPSC might ask a question on this particular topic, right? Especially the 2 states that we just discussed. Mark these 2 states in your atlas map. So whenever you go through the newspaper and come across any important term or any important place, please do mark in your atlas map, right? Now let's try to understand the evolution of India's West Asia policy. Now the evolution has evolved over time. This got influenced by the historical and the changing geopolitical landscape. Now, when it comes to India's West Asia policy, the relation between India and West Asia dates back to the ancient times. Now, during the ancient times, the Arabs, they served as intermediaries to the West. They transmitted Indian knowledge such as numericals to the West. Then Indians exported spices, foodstuffs, jewelry, textiles, and muesli to the region, and we imported pearls and dates from the West Asian region. Now, during the Cold War era, that is the period between 1945 to 1991, we adopted the multi-directional approach. Now, what is this multi-directional approach? There are three important countries in West Asia: Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Israel. These three countries do not have good relation with each other. They do not get along with each other. Until 1991, India focused only on Saudi Arabia and Iran. So, India balanced her relation with both Saudi and Iran. Right? So, this was how we navigated the complex dynamics of the region until 1991. After 1991, we opened our relation, that is, we established full diplomatic relation with Israel. So, the bi-directional approach became tri-directional approach. Now, we started to engage Saudi, Iran, and Israel. And in the recent past, we have expanded this engagement with many countries in West Asia, including Oman, UAE, right? So, this is how the policy of India with West Asia evolved over a period of time. Now, given that West Asia is very, very important, we adopted or we formulated a policy which is known by the name West or Look West policy. Now, why is West Asia important? First, energy security. Much of the oil that we import comes from this region. 60% of oil comes from this region. Saudi, Iraq, and UAE are the key players who export oil to our country, right? First reason is energy security. The second reason is trade and investment. Now, recently, trade and investment between the two countries has grown significantly. Especially, the trade and investment with countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar is increasing year on year. So, UAE has become the top exportation destination for our country. Saudi Arabia is a major oil supplier to our country, and much of the foreign direct investment to our country also comes from the region in sectors like infrastructure, energy, technology. And here we have some data. As I told you, always keep on adding data to your mains answers, right? Supplement your point with data. This will help you in fetching those 0.5 and 1 marks extra, which will make a whole lot of change when you tally your entire or tally the score of each and every paper. So, always focus on this dimension of adding data. This is the second factor. Third is the strategic ties. Now, strategically, India and West Asia are coming close. Now, connecting strategically to the West Asian countries will help India get a seat in the United Nations Security Council, the permanent seat. This will not only help to secure the region, but also it will help India solidify her role as a key player in the global geopolitics. This is the third reason. The fourth is diaspora protection. There are 9 million people who are working in the West Asian countries in sectors such as construction, healthcare, and services. These people send money to their families in India. This is known as a remittance. So, of all the money, dollars that we get from across the world, 55% of dollars or remittance we get from this region. So, we get 40 billion annually. This shows that how important is this region. Why? Because this remittance also helps in the foreign exchange. The next is the defense cooperation. Now, in order to enhance regional security, India is collaborating in the defense sector as well with the countries in the West Asia. For example, UAE and Oman. Now, the Duqm port of Oman, India has been using this Duqm port of Oman for this strategic purpose. So, Indian Navy uses this particular port, right? Then we have the counter-terrorism. Now, both the countries or both the regions are also collaborating to combat terrorism and piracy. So, we share the intelligence, we coordinate. At the same time, we also run training programs to enhance capabilities, right? So, this is how we are working in different sectors. And cultural diplomacy. Now, apart from working in these sectors, we are also working to strengthen the bond of the people in these two regions. How? By focusing on the soft power. For example, by celebrating days like International Yoga Day in the UAE. Then again, we have this Indian Cultural Center in Dubai. Now, this will enhance mutual understanding and goodwill and cement the bond between the people of these two regions. Again, this Hindu temple was inaugurated in Abu Dhabi recently. So, Bollywood, cuisine, festivals, educational exchanges, it builds strong people-to-people connection. And that's the reason why the West Asian region is very, very important for our country. I hope you understood why West Asia is important. Now we'll understand the reasons behind the recent disturbance in the region. First, we all know is the war between Israel and the Hamas. Second, Iran. Now, Iran backs many militias in the region, and these militias are actually causing regional disturbance. For example, Iran backs Houthis. Now, these Houthis, they keep on disturbing the region. They keep on attacking. For example, they attacked Israel recently. The third is the internal conflict, that is the civil war in countries like Syria and Yemen, and the political crisis in Lebanon. Fourth, geopolitical rivalries. As I told you, there are three important players: Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Israel. They do not get along with each other. That's the reason there are tensions in the region. Then, given the region or given the tensions have intensified in this region, many countries are spending money on the military infrastructure, or the expenditure on military has grown significantly, right? And this underscores the strategic importance and the ongoing security challenges in the region. These are some of the reasons. Now, because of the tensions in the West Asian region, there could be possible impacts on a country. For example, energy security. There are high chances that the oil that we get from the West Asian region can be reduced in volume because of the tensions, or the people who are working in these regions, their lives can be at risk. Remittance, we might get less money from this region because of the disturbances. Trade disruptions, as well as we might be forced to support one country at the expense of other country because of the tensions. These are some of the possible impacts on India. Now, in order to restore normalcy and peace in the region, India is working on the developmental parameters. For example, India is focusing on the Middle East Quad, where India, Israel, UAE and USA have come together to connect South Asia, Middle East and the US in the economic, technological and diplomatic sectors. So, by focusing on the development, we are trying to open up economic opportunities in the region so that people find meaningful employment, and these people won't be pushed towards the lure of extremist ideas. Medical diplomacy. So, we have sent many vaccines during the COVID times to cement the relations between these two regions. Then we are also inviting the West Asian countries to invest in India's hydrocarbons sector. So, UAE is a country that has shown interest in India's hydrocarbon sector. Strategic partnership in energy sector, right? Then tech diplomacy. For example, we have initiated this RuPay card in Abu Dhabi to enhance digital payment system in the region. Cultural diplomacy, we have discussed, right, how we are focusing on culture or leveraging this soft power diplomacy to cement the ties. Then India-Middle East Economic Corridor, now this aims at enhancing the economic connectivity and cooperation, right? So this is how India is trying to work on different areas, sectors, so as to bring normalcy. So again, by engaging with the countries diplomatically, by focusing on the economic sector, then by cooperating on counter-terrorism, by assisting the people during the humanitarian need, and then by focusing on cultural diplomacy, and most importantly, by balancing our relation with different regions or different countries in West Asia, we can help restore normalcy in the region so that we can establish regional security in the region. And this will solidify India's role as a key player in providing security to the region. I hope students you understood all the dimensions that we have covered in this particular topic, right? Students, the title of the next topic is Supreme Court to look at immunity to governors under Article 361. Now, in this article, students, we are going to understand the constitutional provisions relating to governor and Article 361, and you can map this under GS paper 2. A previous year question asked in the year 2019, Discuss the essential conditions for exercise of the legislative powers by the governor. Discuss the legality of re-promulgation of ordinances by the governor. So again, a question on governor can be asked in the UPSC examination. What is the context? The context is that there is an allegation on the governor of West Bengal that the governor of West Bengal has sexually harassed a women employee in Raj Bhavan. Now, governor should be arrested, but the governor is not being arrested. Why? Because the governor of every state enjoys this protection, civil and criminal protection under the constitution of our country. Now, whether the protection or immunity given to the governors is justified is something that we are going to discuss. Now, the Supreme Court has agreed to examine the extent of immunity. To what extent this immunity is justified is what the Supreme Court is examining it. I hope you understand the context. Now, let us know more about the constitutional provisions relating to the governor. 1. The governor is appointed by the president. To become the governor, you need to be a citizen of our country, at least 35 years old, and you should not hold any office of profit. That is, you should not be a managing director in any of the companies. Now, let us discuss the powers and functions. 1. The governor appoints the chief minister and the council of ministers and assigns portfolio to the ministers. 1. Second, the governor has the authority to summon, that is call, prorogue, suspend and dissolve the state legislature assembly. The governor also addresses the Vidhan Sabha, that is assembly, and outlines the government's policy. Next, the governor presents the annual financial statement, that is the state budget, before the state assembly. Next, the governor has discretionary power. For example, if no government or no political party has got the majority, the governor will enjoy his discretionary power and will appoint a person as chief minister. Relation with the union. Now, the governor is actually acting as a link between the state and the center. Liaison, right? And it sends reports on state administration to the president. Oath. Before the governor occupies Raj Bhavan, the governor has to take an oath as mentioned in the third schedule of the constitution. So, third schedule deals with the oaths and affirmations of the presidents, then the governors, prime minister, ministers, etc. So, these are the powers and functions of the governor. Term. The term is usually 5 years. But the president can also dismiss the governor on the advice of council of ministers. The president cannot dismiss the governor without a valid reason. But if the president feels that the governor is not acting as per the interest of the constitution or is taking unconstitutional decisions, the president can dismiss the governor on the advice of the council of ministers. Very, very important. Or the governor can also resign from his position. Now, let us discuss the very, very important point, that is the immunity. Immunity is nothing but protection. The question is, why are the governors and presidents given immunity or protection? The reason is so that they can do their work without any fear, without the fear of dismissing for taking strong and bold actions in the interest of the people. This is the reason why immunity is granted to the presidents and the governors. But now this immunity is subject to judicial scrutiny and interpretation. Why? Because of the misuse of the immunities that the presidents and the governors are enjoying. What is Article 361 of the Constitution? It provides immunity to the president and the governors against legal actions. 1. Clause 1. They are not answerable to any court. The courts cannot summon the president and the governor. Very, very important power or protection. Second, no criminal proceedings can be initiated or continued. Even if the president or governor, let's say, commits a rape or let's say murders a person, no criminal proceeding can be initiated. No arrest or imprisonment. They cannot be arrested, they cannot be sent behind the bars. Civil proceedings can be initiated, but after giving a 2 months notice period. So, these are the immunities that the presidents and the governors enjoy. Now you might wonder that how can such kind of protection or immunity be granted to the president and governor? Does it mean that the governor is allowed to murder or rape a person? No. So in case, let's say, governor is murdering a person, first he will be removed from his position and then action will be taken against it. As long as he is the president or governor, no action will be taken against president or governor. I hope you have understood this particular point very clearly. Now, issues. The issue is the debate centers on whether the immunity covers personal misconduct. Now, the immunity covered or given to the presidents and governors, does it also cover personal misconduct is a question that has now arisen. Why? Because of this West Bengal governor case. Second, previous cases such as Rameshwar Prasad versus Union of India have established that the governor enjoys complete immunity from court proceedings. But it did not say anything about the criminal allegations. The third, the immunity potentially delays justice for the victims of crimes committed by the governors. So, a victim, whoever he or she may be, the justice gets delayed. Why? Because of the protection given to the presidents and governors. The discretionary power of the governors, especially in inviting parties to form the government, have been alleged to be misused, leading to political instability. So here, all these points tend to say that these immunities can also be misused and it can also lead to not dispensing justice to the victims. Now, this case, Rameshwar Prasad versus Union of India, has reinforced the governor's immunity. It said that the governors, they are not answerable in the courts, but they did not speak anything about the criminal proceeding or criminal protection granted to the president or the governor. The Supreme Court allowed fresh charges against leaders in the Babri Masjid demolition case, but deferred the trial of Governor Kalyan Singh. Why? Again, criminal action cannot be taken against a person as long as he is the president or governor. So the point is, now the Supreme Court is actually interpreting the extent of immunity that should be granted to the president and the governor. Now, we all know that the blanket immunity given to the president and governor is arbitrary. And that's the reason the Supreme Court is now interpreting the protection given. So, moving forward, we need to establish a code of conduct for the governors approved by the central and the state government to guide their discretionary powers. So, we need to have a code of conduct. Conditions where the governor can enjoy or use discretionary power, the conditions where the governor cannot. There should be code of conduct. Then, the governors need to have a fixed tenure. Normally, they have 5 years, but they can be dismissed before 5 years as well. So, they need to have fixed tenure so that even if they take bold decisions, they won't be removed. The third, extend judicial oversight to cover allegations of personal malafide. So, there has to be judicial oversight on the actions or decisions taken by the governor or the president. Then there should be a clear, transparent process for appointing governors. There should be no political bias and there should be accountability or transparency in the appointment process. And finally, we need to amend Article 361 so that we can amend Article 361 by eliminating the blanket immunity given to the presidents and governors. So this is how we need to deal with the situation, and here we need to wait until the Supreme Court decides on the immunity granted to the presidents and governors. I hope since you understood what is Article 361 and what are the protection or immunities given to the presidents and the governor, right? Students, the title of the next topic is Microsoft outage disrupts several sectors worldwide. Now here we'll understand about this sensor that actually caused disruptions across the globe, and we'll also understand the importance of cyber security, and you can map this under GS paper 3. So the question was, what are the different elements of cyber security? Keeping in view the challenges in cyber security, examine the extent to which India successfully developed a comprehensive national cyber security strategy, asked in the year 2022. So what is the context? The context is that because of a Microsoft update, this update caused disruptions across the entire world. For example, India, Australia, UK, US, these countries were affected because of this update and a bug reported in the update. Now, this also led to this blue screen of death error. So, what is this blue screen of death error? Okay, we'll understand more about the news. Now, this actually disruption affected aviation, banking, telecommunication, hospitals and channels. So, you can please read which all sectors got disrupted because of this Microsoft update, right? Now, what is this blue screen of death? You must have come across this blue screen when your system or when your laptop, let's say for example laptop, or let's say your system is going through an update or fails to update the system, then you get to see this blue screen. This is nothing as blue screen of death. Now, what is blue screen of death? It's a critical error screen displayed on the Microsoft Windows operating system, right? Which means there's something wrong with the update, there's something wrong with the system, and here the system actually, it automatically restarts. This is known as blue screen of death. You must have, I'm pretty sure you must have come across this blue screen many times, right? If you're using a Microsoft Windows system, of course, right? So you get this message that your PC ran into a problem and needs to restart. Then what you do is you restart the system. This is known as blue screen of death. Now, what is this CrowdStrike Falcon sensor update? First of all, CrowdStrike is a cyber security company. This company actually has devised this Falcon sensor. This sensor is a component of the CrowdStrike company. This company or this sensor, it actually provides cyber security solutions to protect against the threats. What it does is it collects and analyzes data to detect and respond to security incidents. Now, because of an error, a bug in this particular sensor, it caused disruptions across the globe. It crashed systems in many countries. Now, talking about certain. Now, in order to protect the cyber system in our country, India has a nodal agency in the name Indian Computer Emergency Response Team. This system or this agency deals with the cyber security threat. It was established in 2004 under this Ministry of Electronics Ministry, right? So this is the topic. I hope you understood about this sensor and most importantly about this computer emergency response team. Students, the title of the next topic is Uttarakhand High Court allows protection to interfaith live-in couple under UCC. Now, in this article, we'll understand Uniform Civil Code, and you can map this topic under prelims as well as mains. So, the most important thing to understand in this article is Uniform Civil Code. There's a question asked on Uniform Civil Code in the year 2015 as well, right? So, what is the context? The context is that Uttarakhand High Court has passed a judgment wherein it has given a protection to an interfaith live-in couple, right, in the state of Uttarakhand under UCC. Now, there was this 26-year-old Hindu woman and 21-year-old Muslim. They were living together and they had sought protection from the Uttarakhand High Court, and the Uttarakhand High Court has given the protection. The court has directed that if a couple, live-in couple, applies for registration under the UCC within 48 hours, then they will be provided protection for 6 weeks. Now, students, this relief the Uttarakhand High Court has given is as per the Uttarakhand State's Uniform Civil Code. So, Uttarakhand has implemented the Uniform Civil Code. It says that the live-in partners must submit a statement of their relationship to the registrar within whose jurisdiction they reside. And if they do not register their living in, then they will attract jail punishment as well as fines. Now, Article 44 of the Indian Constitution, which is a part of DPSP, states that state should work to implement Uniform Civil Code throughout the country. What exactly is Uniform Civil Code? Let's try to understand it. Now, students, when it comes to marriage, divorce, adoption, inheritance, all these aspects are governed by different personal laws. So, Hindus have their different rules for marriage, divorce, Muslims have their different rules. Uniform Civil Code says that the personal laws will not be applicable. There will be one common law for Hindus, Muslims, Sikh, Christian, and be it whichever religion it may be. There will be no personal laws for different religions. So marriage, divorce, adoption, inheritance rules will be governed as per Uniform Civil Code. For example, which are the key proposals of this Uttarakhand bill, Uniform Civil Code Bill? 1. Prohibition of polygamy and practices, which means polygamy, that is marrying more than one person, nikah halala, that is revocation of marriage, iddat, which is a mandatory waiting period for women post divorce, triple talaq and child marriage, they are prohibited under Uttarakhand's Uniform Civil Code. Second, uniform marriage age. The bill suggests a uniform legal age for marriage across all the religions. Then, the living in couple should make sure that they register their companionship in the court or in the government office. Gender equality. It promotes gender equality by ensuring equal treatment to men and women in inheritance and marriage. Now, it also gives property rights for Muslim women. It intends to extend equal property rights to Muslim women, which was not given under the Muslim personal law. Now, the scheduled tribes, as they have very distinct culture, they are exempted from Uttarakhand's Uniform Civil Code. There is also a concern, the concern being that the marrying age for a male or for men and women is different. For women, it is 18 and for men, it is 21. This is a concern. Then, second is live-in relationship registration. Now, some experts say that having this provision that the living partner should register their marriage goes against the right to privacy. And if they do not register their living in relationship, then that will attract a penalty, which is actually not right, is what the experts say. Why? Because this goes against the individual autonomy, right? So, this is about the article. I hope you understood what is Uniform Civil Code, right? Students, the title of the next topic is High Court sets aside Maharashtra order exempting private schools from RT. Now, in this article, we'll understand what is right to education and the provisions under right to education. And you can map this under GS paper 2. Now, there's a question on right to education asked in the year 2022. So, once we go through the provisions of RTE, please come back to this question and see if you are able to attempt this particular question. Now, let us understand what is the context. Maharashtra government had issued a notification which the Bombay High Court has quashed it. What was the notification? The notification said that if there is a private school within 1 kilometer radius from the government school, then that private school is not mandated to reserve 25% seats to the socially and educationally backward children. This was the notification, or this was the exemption given, which the Bombay High Court has quashed it. First, let us understand what is right to education. It says that all the children between 6 to 14 years will receive free and compulsory education. Second, right to education will be a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution. Second. Third, 25% reservation will be given in private schools for children belonging to disadvantaged sections like the SC/ST, the OBCs, let's say OBCs, and the differently abled children, right? So, here 25, let's say for example, the private school has 100 seats. So, 25 seats has to be given to this children. This is a mandate under RT. Then, this responsibility will be borne by state as well as the central government. No detention policy, which means children cannot be failed under RT. But again, as per this Amendment Act, no detention policy was scrapped. Next, prohibition of non-educational work, which means a teacher will not be allowed to work in the non-educational work. Then there will be a proper qualification for the teacher to be enrolled in schools. And the Act prohibits physical punishment and mental harassment, screening procedures, charging of capitation fee, private tuition, and running of unrecognized school. These are some of the features of right to education. Now, the Maharashtra High Court or the Maharashtra government said that the government has established many schools and incurred significant expenditure. That's the reason they are giving exemptions to the private schools. As the private schools are facing financial burdens, so the Maharashtra government had given exemptions to the private schools, is what the Maharashtra government has said. But the court has emphasized that both the government and private unaided schools are required to provide free education to children between 6 to 14. The court rejected the government's exemption, stating that financial considerations cannot override the constitutional mandate. The constitutional mandate under Article 21, free and compulsory education. The court said that the financial consideration cannot override the constitutional mandate. Very, very important observation. That's the reason the Bombay High Court had quashed the notification of the Maharashtra government. I hope you understood this particular article. So in this article, you need to understand Right to Education Act and the provisions of it. Students, now it's time to discuss few practice questions. So let's get started with the practice questions. First is with respect to Article 361. The President or Governor are obliged to answer to the courts in exercise of their powers and duties. They are not obliged to answer to courts. That's the protection they are getting. This one is incorrect. No criminal proceeding whatsoever shall be instituted or continued against the President or Governor. Yes, this is correct. Civil proceeding against the President or Governor can be initiated. No, it cannot be initiated. Incorrect. So, B statement seems to be the correct one. The next question, the blue screen of death typically results in the computer restarting unexpectedly and cause unsaved data to be lost. Yes, correct. CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity company and the Falcon sensor is designed to detect and respond to these security incidents. Correct. CERT-N, the Computer Emergency Response Team. The nodal agency for cybersecurity threats in India was established under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. This one is incorrect. So 1 and 2, option A has to be the correct one. The next question, right to education is enforced as a fundamental right under which article? Article 21A, one of the easiest question that you can ever get in the UPSC examination. The next one about RT Education Act. The RT ensures that all children aged 6 to 14 receive free and compulsory. Yes. It enforces education as a fundamental right under 21. Yes. The Bombay High Court upheld the Maharashtra government's notification exempting. No. It quashed. The RTA mandates 25% reservation in private schools for SCs, STs and socially and educationally backward classes. So 1, 2 and 4 seems to be correct. 1, 2 and 4. Option B seems to be the correct answer for question number 4. The next one is a legislation that directs a state to endeavor to try to secure for the citizens a UCC throughout the territories enshrined in which constitution? Article 44. Very, very easy question, right? And now we'll discuss the means practice question. The question was, analyze the evolution of India's West Asia policy and discuss the strategic significance of Look West policy in the context of the current geopolitical dynamics and how India can play a constructive role. Now, in the introduction, you have to highlight the historical context of India's relationship with West, dating back to the ancient time when the Arabs used to play or be as intermediaries to the Western powers, right? And then you can highlight in brief the importance of the region to our country. Now, you have to evolve or you have to mention the evolution of India's West Asia policy, right? For example, until 1991, India used to balance relation between Saudi and Iran. Post 1991, we follow this tri-directional approach. We established full diplomatic support with Israel, right? And then since the past few years, we have expanded our relation to different countries. Significance, as I told you, focus on energy security, trade and investment, then diaspora cooperation, then we have terrorism, counter-terrorism, defense, cultural diplomacy. By focusing on these dimensions, you can prove that how West Asia is important for our country. And then finally, how India can play a prominent role by making sure that India invests in the developmental initiatives so that people of the region benefit. For example, you can highlight India Middle East Economic Corridor, then I2, U2, then the cultural diplomatic initiatives. So such steps will help India to cement a prominent role in the region, which could enhance India's prestige in the region as well as across the globe. And then in the conclusion, you can mention how it is important for India to adopt multifaceted approach to find solution to the question problem. This is how you need to write a means-based question. So students, I hope you understood how to write this means-based question, and I hope that you understood each and every topic that we have discussed in today's session. So students, if you want us to continue with our initiative, then please do like, share and support Narayana. Thank you so much.